If you remove the word happiness, you can be happy. The advice I'd give to young people is to focus on removing something rather than gaining something. Instead of thinking about earning money to become rich, think about not being poor. Instead of desiring to become healthy, resolve not to fall ill. Rather than seeking fun, avoid being criticized or blamed. This is a thoroughly practical life rule. If you follow these rules, you can achieve small but certain results. If you remove the word happiness from your mind, you can follow these rules more easily. There's a French proverb I like: the better is the enemy of the good. The reason the cynics rejected pleasure was that pleasure always came with some pain. They believed a life without pleasure, but also without pain, was better than pleasure accompanied by even a little pain. So they devoted all their efforts to eliminating pain. As a natural result, their lives were not joyful at all, but at least they were not painful either. Life is easy to make miserable, but hard to make happy. Giving up on happiness is neither hypocrisy nor despair. It is the wisest choice. That choice is the beginning of wisdom. The wisdom of life is the virtue of moderation, not being greatly surprised, not being greatly disappointed, and not having great expectations, no matter what you encounter, whom you meet, or what state you're in. Even if you fail greatly, you don't feel great disappointment. Even if you succeed greatly, you don't feel great joy. Because life, in truth, is not worth being greatly swayed by. In youth, if you skillfully avoid the trap of hypocrisy, you can gain insight into life at an early age. What a proper life is varies for each person. But if you want to live comfortably, it's best to cast off the mask of hypocrisy early on. The more splendid, the more dangerous. The world is like a stage, where what's visible is merely appearance. When the play ends, the splendid stage is dismantled in an instant, leaving an empty warehouse. To become mentally mature, you need to reach 40. The longer you live, the more unimportant things pile up. As unimportant things endlessly repeat, what was once important gradually becomes unimportant. Time passes, but leaves no trace. Until the age of 36, you live on the interest of time. After that, you start consuming time itself. So in youth, deficits seem trivial. Since it's just interest, excessive spending doesn't worry you. But when the interest time grant stops, and you start using the principle, you begin to miss the lost interest. As you age, the principle of life, time, keeps slipping away. The reason people grow greedier as they age is the anxiety of losing time, the fear that little of the principle of life remains. When you feel hateful toward yourself, sleeping is the best solution. At the end of the day, take time to reflect calmly. In reflecting on the day that's passed, you feel your own incompetence and anger toward others. In the end, you become depressed again. Anger at your limitations and resentment toward others surge into displeasure. That feeling traps you in darkness. The cause of it all is fatigue. When you're exhausted by life, calm reflection is impossible. Forcing reflection inevitably traps you in the snare of depression. When you're tired, even reflecting is exhausting. Looking back on the past is tedious, and writing a diary feels painful. When life is vibrant, when you're joyfully active or deeply immersed in something, you don't look back on the past. Reflect, resolve not to repeat mistakes, or make plans. Reflecting, looking back on past time, means you're pitying yourself, hating others, and signaling that your soul and body need rest. In such times, resting is the best course. Reflection is self-loathing. When you feel worthless, you look around for something to reflect on. When nothing energizes you, you recklessly reflect and introspect. In such cases, it's better to go to bed without thinking. When you feel hateful toward yourself, sleeping is the best solution. Gambling, prayer, meditation, none help. Travel doesn't help either, and drinking only deepens self-loathing. Eating well, sleeping well, and waking early are the best solutions to overcome self-loathing. The best strategy is to escape from a hateful today as quickly as possible. If you're suffering, eat more than usual, sleep more than usual. There's no other way. And in the morning, start anew with a fresh beginning. For a walking companion, suffering is enough. I always try to go for a walk at the same time. A walk is like a job. You must build a habit of starting and finishing at the same time every day. When walking, I bring things to think about. I take difficult tasks with me. That's why I don't have a companion. For a walking companion, suffering is enough. A healthy life is improved through harmony of body and mind. A successful life with both body and mind healthy is extremely rare. The mere fact of being alive makes humans feel fatigue. Even trivial movements burden the body. To endure this and maintain a healthy, vibrant life for long, you must pay a price. That price can be called good habits. And the habit of cultivating good habits is patience. Patience doesn't mean enduring blindly. True patience is realizing your body's limits and staying within them. Enduring until you can't is foolish. Thinking, if others can do it, so can I, is like mutual suicide. The key is to establish and maintain standards that keep your body and mind comfortable for the long term. If you do so, one day your ordinary life will be recognized as your unique talent. There's no right answer to life, no fixed rules. Many consider a life like mine unhappy. Some find happiness in a regular, quiet life, others in an impulsive, noisy one. What must not be forgotten is inner order. No matter the situation, inner order must be maintained. You can't stay up for days at hedonistic parties. There must always be boundaries for beginnings and ends. Within self-set boundaries, create the optimal rules that harmonize with your condition and personality. Rules apply even in unpredictable situations like travel. I learned much and gained new insights through travel, but the great Kant never traveled in his life. He treated travel as a pointless waste of time. But for me, travel was a strange new reading, a marvelous friendship, and the role of a true teacher. Both of us, philosophers and researchers, share the trait of being eccentric, yet we held opposing views on travel. There is no great life without regularity. No matter how it appeared to others, their lives became great because that lifestyle suited them. Unswayed by bad habits, spreading like a contagious disease, set rules that suit you, and exercise the talent of patience to make them habits. Over a lifetime, as time passes, a great life unique to you, uncomparable to others, builds up. Wearing different clothes, speaking differently, breaking laws, or ignoring the government doesn't make you special. Specialness is rarely visible. It is cultivated only in the secret, personal routines of daily life. I exist as me. There is no greater existence in this world than me. If a God exists, that's God's concern. My existence is solely my own. I want to be in this world. That's what matters. I don't want to be persuaded by useless words that this is my existence. No one can clearly tell me what happens to me after I die. I won't fall for old tricks. If I cannot exist as myself, I won't give up a single thing I have for immortality. If my individuality isn't guaranteed, I won't belong to anything. I am complete and excellent. There is no individuality greater than mine. I don't want to trade myself for anyone else. No matter how I appear now, this me, my individuality, is exactly who I am. I refuse to be an object others need. I am not a commodity. I am not an item on display. I am not a spectacle for customers. Commodities aim to catch customers' eyes, with color and shine, to be grasped in their hands, but I refuse their grasp. I don't want to be an object they need. But people want to display me on their shelves as they please. The responsibility for my actions lies with me, and the moral perspective judging them is mine. Others judging my actions, with their moral concepts, is an abuse of rights. That act itself is the core of immorality. I was born with the concept of morality. Since such a notion was never granted to me, I've said others lack morality too, but now I must remember, it's simply not given. I alone didn't receive that gift. Yet I tested my capabilities as a human and succeeded in breaking through my limits. That's enough. My painful environment is the result of my own doing. The current environment cannot be changed by anything, and it wouldn't change, even if someone else took my place. I want to do my best until death comes. The most pitiful time in life is when you vaguely realize the day you'll lie in a coffin is not far off. When you newly feel you've squandered your years chasing vain desires and quietly wish for one more chance at time. When you regret thinking if you had the same time again, you could live more meaningfully. This is the fate of me and others today. Regardless of culture or class, rich or poor, this is the fate of humans today. If I truly love my life, I must strive to move away from fixed fate. The hopes of youth are shattered, and the dreams of boyhood wither like an afternoon in summer. The wind hastening the death of leaves blows toward me. When that wind feels warm like a mother's embrace, I will fade like a falling leaf. But until that day comes, I want to do my best. When I fall powerlessly like a leaf, I want to say to the wind, I did my best, so I have no regrets, and I don't hate you. After misfortune passes, it's more important than when it strikes. There's no need to defer to those ahead of you. Owning something different from others eliminates reasons for comparison. If you feel you can't surpass them, if it breeds jealousy and pain, the best course is to take a different path. On that path, there won't be a single person to torment you. If you don't want to be judged by others, live a life they cannot judge. Choose what they don't choose. Obsess over what they don't care about. That solves the problem. Life is covered with mistakes and chance. A mistake is not a failure. No one knows the outcome of a mistake. Because chance always follows a mistake. No one knows what chance will bring. It might turn a mistake into success, or ruin a perfect plan from the roots. Thus, there's no need for certainty. No one knows what schemes chance is plotting. As Goethe said, just saddle up well and ride. After misfortune passes, it's more important than when it strikes. Wishing it hadn't happened is useless. It's too late to regret your negligence, recklessness, or insincerity that may have caused the misfortune. Misfortune itself is a punishment. Repeating self-punishment after misfortune has passed becomes a tragedy that invites further misfortune. There's no need to excuse, downplay, or glorify a clear mistake. Acknowledge it cleanly, accept the punishment, write it in the pages of life as a tragedy caused by chance, then close the book. The wiser you are, the more you know how light honor and face are. Honor and face, the most useless norms in this bizarre, barbaric, laughable life. They are far from human nature, even further from essence, and prejudices that can never arise in normal human relationships. You're judged by others solely for your words and actions. Yet the idea that social judgment can be established by others' idle talk about you, or worse, that their judgment is closer to truth than your actual value, how can we understand this modern obsession with face? If my honor falls to the ground because of my mistakes or madness, that's understandable. But the fear that a person's life can be ruthlessly destroyed by others' baseless chatter is utterly incomprehensible. A beating is just a beating. You might get kicked by a donkey in an alley. It's natural to feel pain and anger when bitten by a dog. But being bitten by a dog doesn't mean your honor as a human is trampled into the ground. Kicking a donkey's rear out of anger doesn't make you a righteous avenger. And boasting about kicking a donkey doesn't restore your honor or earn praise. Looking back at old stories in their lives, noble civilized people had not a speck of this false prejudice of honor and face. Socrates constantly argued with people, and when arguments turned into quarrels, he was often beaten by ignorant citizens. Socrates never once sued those who hit him. Once, when a young man kicked him, and onlookers angrily urged him to sue, Socrates stopped them, saying, "What philosopher sues a colt for bumping into him?" Another time, when a disciple told him a famous philosopher was slandering him falsely, Socrates dismissed it, saying, "No, the person he's talking about isn't me. I've never done such things." The wiser you are, the more you know how light honor and face are. The Athenian statesmen who founded democracy weren't ashamed when drunken citizens pelted them with rotten vegetables, saying a wash of their clothes was enough. When unjustly slapped, Athenian statesmen thought of it as a scratch from a dog or cat, not as a matter of honor to take to court. The reason honor and face are treated as everything today is that human relationships, authority, and status in this era are filled with prejudices. People value face because they have nothing to show but the honor gained from their position. Lacking ability, they don't earn respect, yet they crave power, so they gild their own names. Lacking confidence to act respectably, they obsess over their honor being tarnished. Demanding respect through threats of defamation is no different. It's like clutching a thermometer's mercury to make it rise, then claiming, "I made the room this warm." If this era allowed peaceful interactions with others, honor wouldn't be measured by the yardstick of defamation. In a world that absolutely respected others' rights, we'd talk of trust, not face. Sadly, in today's society, honor is a right you claim alone, because others don't acknowledge it. It's a blade in your mouth, wielded to avoid being ignored by others, abused as a pretext for threatening those you hate. In a barbaric era without civilization, fear was a natural choice, over trust to protect oneself and one's rights. That's a story from when we were animals, not humans. But now, with states and societies formed, when the state protects our bodies and property, brandishing threats and intimidation like beasts, to guard one's boundaries is a shameful act.